Monique Forcella, I am so happy that you are here. This is our first time meeting in person.
Yes.
And I cannot tell you how glorious it is to meet you. And also to be like, you are the same in person as you are online, which brings me much joy. It's so good to have you. Thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you for having me. I'm so excited to be here today.
It's going to be fun. And we're going to talk all things marketing. We're going to talk about how you've built your brand. We're going to talk about how you've built your following, your audience. And we're going to talk about, Reels a whole heap. But I really want to start by looking at your journey. How have you, give us like the 30-second rundown of who you are and what you do.
Okay, so my name is Monique and I am the founder and creator of The Socialista. We help service-based businesses and coaches to really elevate their business, scale their business through marketing, content, and through business strategies. I also own a content creation agency as well, which is really exciting.
Yeah.
And we work with people all over the world. We have courses and programs, and it's just the best time.
Yeah. And you are a pro at not just video marketing and specifically Reels, but you are really good at building a brand and building an audience. So I want to talk about, let's start with Reels, because I think that that's a really nice place for us to begin, because so many people, and you would find this all the time, so many people come to me and they're like, I know we need to be doing video, but I'm unsure, I'm anxious, I don't want to show my face, I don't know what to talk about, I don't know how to do it, and it takes me ages. And there's just so much resistance around creating Reels. So firstly, do you think, what is kind of the state of Reels right now? Are Reels still a thing we need to be investing in? Are they still working? What's kind of your take of how the landscape looks right now?
Yeah, so Reels is just a figment of video marketing. Video marketing has always been around and will continue to always be around. It just shifts and morphs into different sort of formats and forms for the audience and for the platform. So Reels will never go away. It will change and evolve and shift, and it's our job to continue to evolve and shift with it. And so you'll notice when Reels first came out, it was very much dancing and trends and pointing and all this crazy stuff, right?
Yeah.
And that was great for the time. Whereas now we're seeing a really great evolution, which I am so excited for. And we're moving more into the vulnerability, the authenticity, the ownership and leadership and authority of your brand shining through Reels, as opposed to it just being, hey, this is a really cool transition, or this is a really cool video, let me look at that. It's more so transitioning into, what is the reel actually saying? What are you actually saying? And there's so much resistance to Reels, especially in the early days, where it's like, I'm not a dancer.
Yeah.
I'm not funny. I can't do those lip syncing Reels.
Yeah.
I look so dumb. I get it, right? So back then, that was all the rage. Whereas now, people are seeing past that, and people are really wanting that authentic connection with you as the business owner. Because at the end of the day, there are so many businesses out there that do similar things to you, but the thing that separates you is you. And so your audience wants more of that.
Yeah.
So when you create content where you're speaking to camera, or you're showing your day in the life, or what it looks like to actually be you, or the value that you provide, your audience is just going to absolutely love that. So we're moving away from not so much the entertainment, because entertainment is still there, but we're moving away from it being put on and more being, this is who I am and here is the value that I can provide, come to me. Yeah, more attraction marketing in that sense.
Yeah. And I think it's really important for people to understand that the Reels is just the method to get your message out there. And I think a lot of people, they think about the feature and they don't think about what are the principles behind the feature, and what are the principles of marketing and messaging and brand that we need to be employing to get this to resonate. Because I think people, they just get the order wrong. They think, it's about going viral. It's about the trending sound. It's about getting on things quickly. It's about the transitions and the editing and the captions. When it seems like, even I feel like before we started recording, we were talking about the messaging side is so important. Why do you think the message is the thing that we really need to get right when it comes to, if we want to do well on Reels? Why do we need to nail the messaging first?
Because there's so much information out there in the world right now. Everything is a quick Google. or a quick search on Instagram or a quick TikTok. And the only way to build your authority isn't through the cool tricks that you have on Reels, but it's through what you're telling your audience and what you're sharing with your audience and the value, right? So there definitely is a space and a time for that wow factor. So the wow factor are those transitions, are the key things there.
Yeah.
However, it's no longer on the pedestal. It's no longer the number one thing that you need to worry about. And so if we had the foundations of video marketing right, I'm talking about good lighting because you can't see a video if it's in the dark. I'm talking about good sound quality. If we can hear you, we can hear the sound.
Yeah.
Not worrying too much about what the trending audio is because half the time people listen to Reels or watch Reels with the audio off. So by you spending an hour scrolling through Instagram trying to find the perfect trending audio, you've just wasted an hour.
Yeah.
Right? So audio does evoke an emotion, definitely. However, it's the visual that connects to everyone. It's the actual message that people are reading that makes people stop in their tracks and think, wow, she knows her stuff. Wow, she is a leader in her field. I want to follow her. So it's the message, the value that you're giving. And people want to follow people who are personable.
Yeah.
People want to follow people that they can connect with and relate to. And if you're showing your authentic side, your audience is going to absolutely love that and want to follow you.
Yeah. And I think it's really interesting, the messaging thing, knowing what you're for, knowing your message, knowing the pain points of your audience. I do feel like that's never been more important than it is now because there is so much noise and everyone is vying for the attention of your customer or your dream client. And so that message piece, it has to be really bang on. And not many people talk about that because they want the quick win. And the messaging takes longer and it's like refining and it's research and it's having conversations with your dream clients and going, what is keeping you up at night? Where do you really want to be? What are your goals? What are your aspirations? It takes longer and it's not as sexy. And so I think that's the challenge is people, and I imagine people come to you and they're like, give me the quick win. I want to go viral. I want to get more followers. But it's kind of like, but what for? Why?
And going viral isn't always the answer, right? You could go viral for something completely wrong, attract the wrong audience, and then you are back at square one because if you're attracting the wrong audience, they're not going to buy what you have to offer, and so you're back there anyway, right? So going viral isn't the answer. In fact, a lot of the reels that I create that are sales focused, that have the least amount of views, attract the most amount of sales.
Yes. And I really wanted to talk to you about that because you talk a lot about, hey, like we actually want to turn your reels into clients. We want to help you to get cash from your reels. I'm so fascinated by this because I want to kind of look at, okay, well, what do those reels look like, the money-making reels, and how are you measuring that for yourself? Like what does that kind of look like?
Yeah, I love that. So money-making reels really focus in on how specific are you in talking to your dream client. The biggest mistake that I see so many people making is that they're really broad in their messaging. And they're really broad in who they're talking to because they don't want to offend people or they don't want to just focus on a certain group of people and exclude everyone else. When in actual fact, when you're trying to cast a wide net and attract everyone, you attract no one because no one's looking at your content saying, wow, she's speaking to me. The best reels that I ever get or create are the ones where people message me saying, I feel so triggered after your reel. Or, oh my gosh, how are you reading my minds? Like, how did you get that? How did you know that that is what I was struggling with? And those are the kinds of reels that get people across the line. Because when you create really broad reels with broad messaging, it creates confusion in the mind of your audience. But when you're hyper-specific and you can actually talk about the symptom and the scenario in which your client is experiencing, you're able to nail it on the head. They're going to see that reel and think, oh my gosh, she is for me. Let me message her right now. It's an instant effect. Your content is supposed to allow your audience to buy in to you before they buy from you.
Oh, I love that.
Right?
Yes.
Because the biggest thing that I see so many people saying is that, you know, I've got people that are engaging in my content and my reels are great and they get on the discovery call and they don't buy. Or they say, I'll think about it or I'll ask my husband or whatever it might be. And all these objections come. It's because they're not bought into the value that you can actually help them and transform their lives. So your reels, the money-making reels specifically need to showcase that transformation. How can you show that either you or a client have gone through a transformation that has led to a certain result.
Yes.
How can you create a mindset shift to show that your audience that your problem isn't what you think the problem is here, and I'm going to show you why. And so really just holding your audience's hands and showing them that this is your problem, your specific problem, and this is the specific solution, and I'm going to help you with that.
Yes. And so you're not shying away from talking about the problems, because a lot of people, they kind of demonize the pain point marketing and they go, oh, you know, it's triggering, it's fear-based, it's scarcity-based or whatever. But I'm curious, like, have you tried the problem, like pain point-based versus aspirational, this is your goal, this is where you want to go? What have been the results been if you tested both? What have been your results from both?
I have, and there's a time for both. I don't believe that you should purely have one and not the other.
Love that.
Because you have different buyer types. There are 4 different types of buyers within the world. And your analytical buyers really do focus more on the pain points.
Yeah.
Whereas your driver buyers, your amiable buyers are hell-bent on the aspirations and what's possible for them. Driver buyers make up a lot of entrepreneurs, which is why desire-based and dream point content works really well.
Yeah.
So that's why that works. However, there is a time and a place for pain point marketing where your audience is like, oh my gosh, like I feel that.
Yes.
It gets to a point where your audience is just so battered by the pain that they're feeling that when they see you talking about this specific pain, they're like, I need a fix for this and I need it now. So it does attract a different kind of person with your pain point marketing. Your dream point marketing, though, attracts the people who are gun-ho, who are driven, who are ready, which is why it's the driver buyer's perfect content.
Yes. Oh, that's really cool. And I think having the mix of both is really, really important. So when you do, I'm really curious about the money-making reels because I think it's easy for us to put a reel out there and be like, I don't know. Like, I don't know if it got me new email signups. I don't know if it got me sales. I got lots of views, or maybe I got 3 views and I don't even know. So how are you actually tracking that particular reel helped me to land X amount of clients?
Yeah. So my client posted a reel last week that we created for her as part of our agency side.
Yeah.
And she generated 1,000 new email subscribers from one reel.
Wow.
One reel.
That is amazing.
Insane. She had about 4,000 comments on the reel. Her reel hit just under 100,000 views, but they converted into email signups for her masterclass that she was running that she doesn't even have yet. Like, she hasn't even made it yet.
Love
so
that.
It's just a free masterclass that she's like, this is an idea that I have. Let's run with it. Let's put it out into the world. 1,000 new signups from one reel.
Yeah.
And what was great about this is there was 3 components. 1, really super easy, relatable visual. It was a simple video of her sitting, getting into bed. Simple video. The text was talking more so about a transformation. So it was more so about the dream point marketing.
Yeah.
Imagine you could do this without X.
Yes.
So really specific. So imagine you could wake up and this could be your life without X. Then the part that actually brings in the sale, because that reel is fabulous and would attract views and comments, but what actually brought it home is the call to action. And the call to action isn't just like, did you find this helpful or follow for more? It's clear, direct, and get your audience to take action. And so it was comment the word,
love it,
more below. Comment the word start below. And the comments just keep coming on through.
Yeah.
And so it's really easy for someone to comment the word start or more or I want in. The reason for this is, which is why we're sort of moving away from link in bio.
Yes, I love that.
Because it's least barrier to entry.
Yeah.
Your audience is on the reel. They're scrolling through the feed. It is so easy for them to type in the word start than it is to go to your Instagram profile, click on the link in your bio, find the link, find the page, fill in their details and go. This way, they just comment. And then you use an app called ManyChat and they go straight into your DMs and you send them the link. They sign up and it's good to go. So it's all within the 1 second because your audience's attention span is 3 seconds. And they might say, yeah, cool, I'm going to do that later. I'll go to link in her bio after and it's all good.
Yeah.
But your clients, your audience, they've got 1,000,001 things that they're doing. They're picking up the kids, they're doing the washing, they're doing this, they're writing captions, they're doing research, and they think, I'll do that later.
Yeah.
But when they just comment the word start, they get an email or they get a DM that says, join the waitlist or join the masterclass, and they join. So it's those 3 key elements: a really clear visual, a really concise message, and a clear CTA that tells them what to do next to get into your world.
Yes. And I love the ManyChat keyword. It's so powerful. And when I see a mistake, I feel like people half do this and they go, DM me for more details. And it's like, even that, even if I'm not going to the link in your bio, even the effort of me going, okay, I've got to DM Monique. Okay, what am I going to say to Monique? I've got to go to her profile. I've got to click, and then I've got to say, hey, Monique, how are you? Hope you're doing great. I want to know details about this. And it's just effort, resistance.
So much effort.
And so commenting more or start is just like, oh, cool. That'll take me all of 2 seconds.
Yeah.
And there'll be a trigger, and then using ManyChat, and for anyone listening who doesn't know what ManyChat is, it's like an automation tool. So powerful for your DMs. And I think that that's such a simple tweak that people can make to, even if you're not automating, even if you're just going to start up by manually DMing everyone, that's fine. But I love that thing of going, the call to action is so powerful and simple and direct.
And even to that point where you're saying, DM me for details. What details?
Yeah.
Where are we going? What is this about, right?
Yes.
And so that's a big mistake I see so many people doing. DM me for details or DM me for more. What's more? What am I DMing you for, right?
Yeah.
So what I like to do is a pre-CTA. So are you ready to transform your followers into converting clients that are ready to buy every single time you post? ? Comment the word start below.
Yeah.
And that's it.
Love.
So at least your audience is like, okay, cool, I know exactly what I'm getting. They're reading a massive caption. Sometimes they forget a little bit about what the reel was about or what the hook was, because obviously the hook is your juiciest part. And that pre-CTA sort of ties it all in a bow, brings them back in and says, this is what you really want. Here's how you get it. Let's go.
Oh, that's so cool. That's really, really clever. So you kind of talked about a few of the key elements, the key components that make a reel work. Are there any other things that we need to consider? You've mentioned the hook. You've mentioned like the caption. Is there like a dream length of the video that works really well? Are there any kind of, I know there's no formula necessarily, but like what do you see works pretty well consistently?
Yeah. What I find works really well is a really simple message that doesn't try to talk about too many things at once.
Yeah.
And it is very concise. And so a reel with that doesn't need to be 20 seconds. It can just be 10 seconds long, which is why shorter reels actually do work. However, if you're doing a talking to camera reel, which is so powerful right now, anywhere between like 20 and 30 seconds is a really great sweet spot for that. Yeah. I tend to definitely go over the 30-second mark.
Me too.
And go straight into like the 1 minute mark, but there's just so much to give, right?
Yeah.
But it's really important just to really make it succinct. Start with that hook that's going to bring your audience in. Add a little bit of context as to why you're talking about this or why your audience should really care.
Yeah.
Give the value, call to action, finish it off. So really succinct in terms of those 4 key steps to get your audience engaged and interested and wanting to know, like, and trust you to then come into your funnel.
Yeah, I love that. And so it's because I think for product-based businesses, there's probably a different customer journey, right?
Yes.
It's like buy the thing. Like here's the link, buy the thing. I think for us as service providers, and I know you work specifically with service providers, that getting people into the funnel means that your funnel has to be solid too. And it's not just you can have the world's best reels, but if you don't have a really solid customer journey, if you don't have a compelling offer, if you don't have those pieces in place, you might get 100,000 people looking at this thing, leading them nowhere.
Exactly. And that's definitely the biggest mistake I made when I started my business.
Yeah.
Is all content, all value, just really giving, leading them to nowhere.
Yeah.
Right? And I think a lot of business owners make this mistake. So many do to this day. And it's so normal if you're thinking this because you see on Instagram and you're thinking, I need the followers. I need the views, the vanity metrics, right? Yeah. We're human. We are human. And so we look at the numbers, we look at all these things and use that to validate ourselves. But in actual fact, it means nothing. And so it doesn't need to be done in a day. Your back ends, your waitlist, your freebie, your funnel, your nurture sequence. And I'm still currently working on mine as well and tweaking things and making it really perfect.
Always.
It's never a done and finished project, right? But I think it's really important to think about that customer journey and where your audience is going and where they're flowing into. And that's not to say that you should stop posting content while you're creating that. And that's the biggest sort of mistake I see. People are like, well, once I create my offer, once I create my funnel, once I do this, then I'll start marketing it. But you've created all these amazing things and now your audience is completely cold. They don't know who you are, what you do, what you're selling. And again, you're back at square one.
Yes.
And so it's important to do them both simultaneously. So creating content, it's called a content runway. And so I teach this inside my programs. A content runway takes your audience from cold to hot. So cold, warm, and hot. You start your audience at problem unaware. They don't know they have a problem and they're really sort of looking for that solution and where to go. Then you move them down the funnel to where they are warm. They're seeing you, they're seeing your expertise, they're seeing your knowledge and your value and your personal journey. And they move down into, okay, cool. I know I have a problem. I know she's the leader. I want to work with her. How can you help me? And so you share the solution, which is your offer, your program, your service, and then you get them into the funnel from there. And so while you're building out this epic funnel, it doesn't need to be crazy. Just, a wait list or a freebie, a few nurture emails and get them into your offer.
Yeah.
But using your content before that to warm your audience up and make them think, wow, she is the leader for me.
Yeah. It's so interesting because I think so many of my clients, so many of my students, they struggle with perfectionism. And so they want, and I completely get it. Like I definitely had to learn, and I'm still learning to not need everything to be perfect. I think there's a difference between excellence and perfection. I think it's a whole different
100%.
Whole different conversation. But I think a lot of people wait until everything is perfect in their back end. They think about their systems, they think about the offer, they're thinking about all this stuff they want perfect. And then you're so right, they don't have leads. And it's kind of like focusing on optimizing the back end of your business before getting leads. It's kind of like hosting a dinner party and being like, everyone come to my house. We're going to have dinner. It's going to be beautiful. I've got the menu. I've set the table. I've got these beautiful like linen napkins. It's going to look beautiful. Everyone's going to love it. And the playlist is there. I've got candles. It's beautiful. But you forgot to invite any guests. Yeah. And so then you're like, oh my gosh,
my friends?
Where are my friends? I built this stuff and I've made all this and no one's here to enjoy it. And that's why when people don't focus on lead gen, I'm like, you're hosting a party with no guests. What are you doing? Don't optimize that. Stop optimizing. Get leads. Like focus on that stuff because then you can build it and optimize it as you go. And I don't know. I'm curious what you find holds people back here because there's something, and I don't know if it's specifically for my audience, it's a lot of creatives. It is a lot of women as well. And I think sometimes we have this fear of making a mistake, fear of getting it wrong. And it's like, we just need to get it out there.
Yep. I started my business with an Instagram page and one single post. No website, no business domain, no nothing.
Yep.
I created my logo on Canva and I started. If I didn't take action, imperfect action, I would not be where I am today.
Yeah.
That is just the absolute truth. In everything that I do, I have an idea, I get it out into the world, and you need to test the idea first. And so this is one thing that's really helped me with perfectionism. It's that why am I going to spend all this time creating a program, an offer, the back end, and doing all the bells and whistles if I haven't tested the idea with my audience first?
Yeah.
And so this has really pulled me back and out of that perfectionism state and started to get me into the place of just take messy action.
Yeah.
Because messy action is better than no action because you are stuck in that analysis paralysis. And don't get me wrong, I still get stuck in analysis paralysis. Is this the right decision? Is this the right name? Is this the right place that I should be doing things? And I definitely do as well. But I think one thing that really gets me out of that space is my why. Why am I doing this? What am I going to achieve here? And so my why is to really help female entrepreneurs, service-based businesses and coaches to build a legacy for their family.
Yeah, I love that.
Right? And how am I able to serve out this mission if I'm too worried about which font to choose for my cover letter or for my website.
Yeah.
And there's studies that prove that when you're applying for jobs, right? So back in corporate world, and you're applying for jobs, men will apply for jobs and all jobs, even if they meet 50% of the criteria.
Yeah.
Whereas women won't apply for a job if they hit less than 80%, which is insane.
Yeah.
So it just goes back to the idea of like women definitely are, and I'm not generalizing here, but a lot of people, especially women, find themselves second guessing, doubting themselves and wondering, am I good enough? And it's so hard to get out of that space.
Yeah. I find it really, it makes me sad actually when I think about it, because I'm like, we actually have enough resistance. Like we have enough resistance if we put ourselves in our own way. Like why would we add more resistance to running a business? It's already challenging. There's already things that like you have to get over and you have to learn so much. It's such a steep learning curve. When we add in perfectionism, it's like, why are we adding that? We don't, and I understand there's so much going on in our brains when we're thinking about this, but it's like, we've already got enough on our plate. Yep. Let's just get rid of that one. Like, let's just choose. I'm not going to do that. And it's a discipline, right? Of going, okay, am I being a perfectionist here? Am I overanalyzing? Am I overthinking here? Am I researching when I should just be taking action? Am I building it before I've actually got people who even want what I'm kind of trying to build? So I think it's this thing of going, okay, what am I going to do to get out of my own way? And all of us have things that get in our own way. Like for me, it's been a journey. The perfectionism thing's been part of it, but people pleasing has been my big thing. And so it's like, I've already got enough. Like I can't deal with people pleasing. I have to let go of that. And it's this,
It's a journey.
It's such a journey.
It's a journey. And it's not like you wake up one day and you're like, cool, I'm free of perfectionism. I'm free of people pleasing. I'm free of, I finally feel like I'm good enough. It's not just you wake up one day and you're, good. You're ready to go.
Yeah.
It's a process. And it's like, okay, well, what do I need to work on to be able to get me to that place? Is that perhaps creating something and giving yourself a time limit and saying, cool, whatever I create in these 30 minutes, I'm creating and putting it out into the world today.
Love.
Setting yourself some small and actionable things that you can do every single day or every single week just to kind of get that exercise and getting the reps in.
Yeah.
Because you need to get the reps into being an imperfect action taker.
Yeah.
As opposed to, oh, this isn't perfect. I need to tweak this. Set yourself a deadline and it goes out. The amount of times I've done a presentation with a spelling mistake in it, I'm just like, oh, here we go. Here we go. There it is. But the thing is, if I mulled over this presentation and like went through every single slide, and I do, but to a T where you just, it's not perfect yet. Let me go back. Let me tweak that. Let me just fix this. Your audience doesn't care that things are perfect.
Yeah.
They care that they get the value out of it.
Yeah.
And so if there is a mistake in your presentation, if there is a mistake in your reel, don't delete it because the value is still there. Your audience is still going to get so much from it.
Yeah.
As opposed to you being like, oh, I've made a mistake, delete it, that's it.
It's so weird because I think we have this expectation of ourselves to be perfect and to get everything right the first go. But I don't know about you, when I see people who are raw and real and vulnerable on social media, I lean in. I'm like, oh, okay, she's sharing something that is different. She's sharing something that's uncomfortable and it's scrappy and it's not perfect and it's real. And I feel like as humans, our like radar goes, oh my gosh, I like you.
Yeah.
And it's like the very thing that actually holds us back is the perfectionism. And that is the thing that actually
propels us forward.
Yeah, because if people love the messy, imperfect thing, and I think cognitively we know that. You think, oh, when I post an iPhone crap photo of me in my dressing gown with my dog and it's chaos and there's stuff everywhere in my house, when I post that photo, my engagement is so much more. And it's like, what does that tell us? People kind of don't want the glossy, perfect, beautiful thing. They want something a little bit more real.
They want authenticity.
Yes.
Right? And it reminds me of Vanessa Lau.
I don't know Vanessa.
You don't know her?
No.
Okay. So Vanessa Lau is content creator based in Canada. And a year ago, she decided, peace out, I'm done with social media, I'm done with my business, close up shop, I'm done. She was massive. And about a month ago, she came back to social media and she said, here's what I've been doing this last year, rediscovering myself, and now I'm just taking messy action and taking you along the way. And I'm just like, oh, you go, girl. Like, I just love how she's come back and she's really taking us along the journey of what it looks like to build a business. It's not all sunshine and rainbows. It's so easy to see all these incredible people just absolutely slaying it in their game. And yes, you can have that, but the duality of there's hard times as well.
Yes.
There are late nights, early morning. There are sacrifices that you need to make. And it's so easy to feel bad about ourselves when we see other people out there that are absolutely slaying it.
Yeah.
And why can't we do that? Why can't we get there? And yes, it's aspirational, but it's really great to also balance that with, okay, well, here's also what happened that week.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes, I love that. And I think it's that both and. And for me, I've been thinking a lot about comparison because it's been this journey that I've had to go on, and I'm still 100% still on this journey of figuring out how do I not compare myself to other people, and how do I hold my own and go, okay, I'm Laura Higgins. I'm my own person, and I have my own space that I can take up, and someone else's success doesn't take away from my success.
Yes. And
it's this constant, and this is why I think running a business is crazy, because it kind of holds up a mirror to all of these things that you're like, ooh, I've got to deal with that. The people-pleasing, perfectionism, comparison, procrastination, whatever it is that holds us back. It's like we need the tactical skills, but there are so many soft skills that we learn and that we go, okay, I've got to confront this now, because if I don't deal with it, it's going to kind of deal with me consistently. I'm curious, like, have there been any things for you in your journey where you've been confronted with, maybe it's a mindset or a belief that you've had to go, I have to actually change that belief?
Yeah. I think for me, I was really fortunate at the start of my business where I just kind of went out and did it.
Yeah.
I just went out and did it, and anything that I had a thought or an idea on, I just went out and did it. And I didn't really have much holding me back because I thought, what do I have to lose? And somewhere along the way, I'd say the last 6 months, I feel like I've lost that a little bit.
Yeah.
I don't know, things have happened in life and business that have sort of thrown me for a six, where I thought what my reality was and what my business and what my trajectory looked like is a little bit different to what it actually is right now.
Yeah.
In a good way, definitely in a good way, but it kind of makes me feel like I'm wandering in the wilderness a little bit. Like, where am I going? What's happening? And so I've had to change the belief that I can control everything. Right? Yep. I am a little bit of a control freak in terms of I like to know what the future is going to hold. I like to know what's happening here and what's happening there. And so sometimes I definitely need to loosen my grip and let the magic sort of happen around me because I know the magic's there.
Yeah.
And you don't know these things about yourself until you're hit in the face with it. And on face value, it might look like a challenge and like, how, like, God, how am I going to get out of this? And how am I going to take that next step? And, how am I going to, do the next thing that I want to do?
Yeah.
But I think it's also trusting the process. And if things take a bit longer, that's okay. And if things are a bit difficult, that's okay. And if that means showing up on social media today is a bit difficult, that's okay. Yeah. Right? You don't need to show up every single day. Your audience will not forget you.
Yes.
Your audience will still love you. Take the time that you need and get back out there and do it again. I think one thing that has stuck with me for a very long time is fail early and fail often. And if you're not making enough risks and taking enough chances and failing, you're not learning, you're not growing, you're not evolving. And so success leaves clues. And if you're failing, it means, great, I'm steering you towards a new direction. If you fail again, great, that's not for you, let's go to a new direction. And so it's about taking on those failures and taking on those challenges that come and seeing them as opportunities to redirect you into a new place.
Thank you so much for sharing that, because I think it's so interesting, because from the outside looking in, I would not even, it looks like, oh my gosh, you're killing it. You're doing great. Like, wow, like I would not even think that there's anything in the background for you that's like, oh, what is this? This feels funky and I don't know how to I don't know, where I'm, it feels like something's shifting and I don't know.
That's exactly what it is. There's a massive shift. I had to let go of something a few months ago, and that caused a catalyst of, okay, who am I?
Yeah.
Like, who am I, and who do I want to be, and who do I want to step into? Because what got me to where I am today won't get me to where I want to go.
Yes.
Right? And that's that evolution that I'm sort of in at the moment, where I feel like I'm dropping a bit more of she's the Instagram girl.
Yeah.
To elevating into she is the marketing strategist, and elevating into she is the business coach, and moving up into that next stage where I just feel so lit up and so excited. And so now it's about navigating, okay, how do I create new programs to foster this new area that I want to go in? How do I alter my content so I can call in the right people? How, on the personal front, in my life, personal things are changing as well.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, how do I navigate the two most important parts of my life, so like my family life and my business, and navigate these massive shifts all happening at the same time? And so in the background, I'm like, oh my God, what is happening? Why now? Why me? You ask these questions. Why now?
Yeah.
Why me? Why is this happening? All these things. And it's like you begin to question. But there is a light at the end.
Yeah.
And these challenges make you who you are. And if you're listening to this right now and you're in the thick of it, there is a way out. You just need to keep on going, put one foot in front of the other and keep on going, because you're worth more than that. Like, you can make great things with your hands and with where you're at right now.
Yes. And I think it takes so much courage to change course, especially when you've built something like you have that's really successful, and you've been featured on Instagram itself. You've worked with ManyChat, you've worked with these incredible big brands and become known as, Monique's the Reels girl. Like, she is amazing and you're amazing at it. But it can take courage to change course. And I know for me, when I rebranded my business last year, I grieved. Like, I had to let go of this thing that I was like, oh, this was my baby. This was like, I started this from my bedroom when I was 23. And so I had to let go of this thing. And I was terrified. I remember being like, there was one point where I was like writing all this like content around this rebrand. And I was like, I didn't think this would be, I thought this would be exciting, and it's a really strategic, and it's empowered, and it's new, and it's going to be really great. And it was that. But also there was a bit of grief for me of like, okay, I'm letting go of something that has served me really well, that has been part of my identity, and I'm stepping into something new, and I'm like 95% sure it's going to be amazing.
But it's that 5% that you're like,
it could be terrible. And the thing that was, and I think actually the root of it, and I don't know if you feel like this in changing course, but the root of the grief and the fear for me in stepping into something new was, what if it means I can never do anything else? So like, what if me changing my business, and for me it was changing from a company name to a personal brand. So it was all under my name. And so I've had this fear, well, if I change my business to a personal brand, what if I want to do something else? Yeah. And now all of a sudden my name is my business, and I'm known as only this one thing. And I had a lot of fear around it. And I had a conversation with my sister just last week, actually. And I was like, I just feel like, am I missing out on doing something else because I'm so focused on the business, and I love my business, and I can work and it doesn't feel like work.
Yeah.
But am I missing out on other things that I really want to do that are completely unrelated? And she was like, Laura, you've got so much time. You've got so much time to reinvent and to do other things. And it made me think of the great Margot Robbie.
Yeah.
She says, because she does all these amazing roles, she was like, I contain multitudes. And this thing of, sometimes we think of our business as a bit of a life sentence, like I must be this niche forever. I must be the Reels girl forever. I must be the person who coaches creatives forever. And I think it's this thing of going, I don't think it's that binary. I don't think it's that it's this or nothing. I think it's we contain multitudes.
Yeah. And
We
we
can
can
do
do
many
all
things.
things.
Yes.
I love that.
Yeah.
And that's definitely a massive fear, especially when people niche down.
Yes.
People are like, I'm not going to niche down because I can do all these things. Like, you can do all these things. You definitely can.
Yeah.
And they can become parts of what you show, but your mission needs to be sort of aligned with that niche, right? And you are your niche.
Yes.
That's the thing, right?
Yeah.
It's not so much that, okay, I am an Instagram coach. That is my niche. I am my niche. Monique, I am my niche. And, people will come to you and say, I don't care what you have to offer. I just want to work with you.
Yeah.
And I get this all the time. I just want to be in your energy. I just want to be in your energy. Get me into a program. And so people, yes, they're going to come to you for your service, your offering, but don't ever underestimate the value that you have as a person and how that makes other people feel.
Yes.
Right? And so it's so easy to feel stuck in what you're doing and feel like, oh, this used to work 2 years ago, but why is it not working right now? It's because you've changed too.
Yeah.
Right? And so when you change, your business needs to be like, come on, let's go. Come with me.
Yes.
Let's change together. Let's do this.
Yeah.
And your audience expects you to evolve because your audience evolves too. So instead of thinking of it as a life sentence, it's like, cool, how is this a living and breathing entity?
Yes.
Right?
Yes. I
And
love
we grow,
that.
we change.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I do think our businesses are, especially in businesses like ours, when you're a coach and it is, even if it's not quote unquote a personal brand, there is still an element of you are your brand in a lot of ways. And I think for so many service providers, you are the brand. And so that thing of going, I think sometimes we downplay what like that idea of, oh, I just want to be around you.
Yeah.
So what can I buy
Yeah.
to be in your orbit?
Yeah.
And it's kind of like, like, okay.
Never thought of it like that.
Do people want that? Okay, cool. I can do that. But it's like, I think sometimes we underestimate our own kind of magic and what people see of us.
Yeah, 100%. And I think that's the most powerful thing, especially in the world right now where there are so many businesses out there that do what you do, especially on Instagram. If you were to type in marketing coach, Instagram coach, if you were to type in anything like that, you would get hundreds of people.
Yeah.
So what separates you from the rest? It's you. And that's what you need to showcase on social media. That's what you need to showcase through your marketing, through the message that you're sharing on your sales page, through the emails that you're sending, through the freebie that you're creating. And we get stuck in this copy culture.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
Right now we're in this copy culture where, especially when it comes to reels and marketing, you're online, you're on Instagram and you're scrolling. You're like, wow, this person here, she's grown 100,000 followers in a month. She's doing something right. Let me copy her. Or, oh my gosh, she's got 100,000 views in this reel, or how many comments does she have? I'm going to copy her. But you can't copy someone's essence.
Yes.
And that's a big part of what people follow you for. And you might be thinking, well, Monique, I'm not cool. I'm not fun. I'm not exciting. My life isn't exciting. And this is one thing I've had to sort of deal with myself, where my life when I'm working is I'm in my office.
Me too.
Right? From 8 a.m.
Yes.
till most likely 6 p.m. or not, if not later. And I'm in my office. Bare walls. I have a mirror behind me and a couch. And that's it. Like I go for a morning walk. I go to Pilates in the afternoon. But like, that is my life.
That's it.
It's not exciting. When am I going to show you my morning smoothie? Like, do you know what I mean? Like, what
I
am I doing?
relate to that. I'm like, okay, I've got to do B-roll content. What am I gonna film today? Like,
Pour my hot chocolate. Like, what? Like, are people actually interested in this? Yes, they are. I posted an Instagram story, just like an insight into my life, and how one day I was in Bali on a retreat, and the next day I was sitting on my floor with 2 laptops trying to upload a course content at 9 p.m. at night. And people were like, I just love the authenticity of that. And that it's not always perfect. It's not always, chasing the sunset and working in this beautiful digital nomad life. It is the hard work. It is all the things in between. So it really is as simple as setting up your phone and recording your day-to-day. So just record you talking on a coaching call, or you creating content, or taking your audience through what it looks like to do what you do, and your audience would be so intrigued by that. And don't edit out the mistakes. I think people try to over edit themselves to make them look, or just to kind of come across a bit more perfect. And sometimes when, my highest performing reel in the last year is a video of me that I thought was trash. I had put my phone on my tripod and I was recording a reel, and I was whipping my tripod across my body. But as I had done that, my ring light completely broke. It broke, smashed into the wall, and my face was of pure shock. I was like, oh my gosh, I've just put a hole through my wall. I didn't, thank God. But I was like, oh my gosh, no. And my face, you could see it on my face. It was just pure shock. And I wasn't going to use it. And then one day I was like, oh, what am I going to post today? I'm scrolling through my camera roll, and I find this video that I was about to delete. And I was like, let me post this as here are the mistakes that I've made in business. It went off. It went crazy.
Love that.
Everyone loved it. And so that video of the mistakes paired with the vulnerability of me sharing the mistakes as well just worked a treat. So sharing that B-roll content where it isn't always perfect, it isn't always polished, works.
And you're not always jet setting.
Not always jet setting, not always on a plane, not always somewhere. Yes, that's great. And yes, it is definitely the perk of, working with clients who are interstate or doing retreats or whatever it might be, definitely. But the flip side of that is I'm taking 3 days off work. Where am I making that up? That time needs to go somewhere. And so, there is definitely this misconception that, you get to this state in business or this, I don't know, maybe I just haven't made it that far yet. I don't know, right?
Yeah.
Being at this point in business where it's like, cool, I can do 1 hour of work per day and be done. But I am a high achiever. And 1 hour of work to me just doesn't satisfy me, unfortunately.
Yes, that's how I feel.
Right?
When people say that, and it's so interesting because that's aspirational for so many people, and that's amazing. But when people say that, I think, what else do you do with your day?
I don't know. What would I do? Call up my friends, they're working. Go to Pilates, there's no class at 12 o'clock. Go to the beach. What if it's raining? Like,
totally.
What do you do?
Pat my dog. That's all I'm going to do.
It's like, so I find myself whenever I do, and it is I think a toxic trait of mine, but whenever I do find a little gap in my schedule or whatever it might be, I fill it with something else, a new idea, a new project, new this, a new that, new training, a new, just so many cool things.
Yeah.
Because I'm constantly thinking.
Yes.
And it's so funny. I was on a coaching call yesterday with my clients, and we're talking about messaging and translating that into content.
Yeah.
And she's like, Monique, I have this idea. My client keeps on telling me this. I'm like, great. Okay, here are your content ideas. It's this, it's this, it's this, it's this, it's this. And she's like, how did you do that? And I'm like, it's just who I am.
It's how you think.
It's how I think. And I'm constantly thinking of new ideas, whether that be content or business or whatever it might be. It's just who I am. And so the idea of having a 1 hour work week or a 4 hour work week, whatever it might be, kind of feels a bit sad.
Yeah.
Right?
I don't know. I also think,
I'm glad I'm alone in this.
Oh, for me, I'm like, that makes me feel a little bit anxious thinking about that. Like, what am I going to do? Like, there's no good TV shows. Like, I know. I'm on season 8 of Grey's Anatomy, and it is bad. It is not good. Anyway, we won't even talk about that. But I totally agree. And even I think for me, when I think about having kids, I'm a little bit like, and I guess you figure it out and
nervous, scared, worried, all the things.
Just like, okay, I was speaking with a friend of mine. Her name's Stevie Dillon, and she is such a boss. I don't know if you've met Stevie, but you'd love Stevie. Anyway, she was so pregnant. She came on the podcast, and I was like, Stevie, what are you going to do? Like, what's mat leave look like for you? And like, I was curious because I was like, your business model is really similar to mine, really similar to yours. What does maternity leave look like for you? And she's like, oh, I'm taking 2 weeks. I was like, okay, all right. I was like, that's cool. And she's like, no, I'm good. I know. And she was like, all I'm going to do is come back and do a coaching call, and I might be breastfeeding while I'm doing the coaching call, but I can do that. And so it was like, cool. I think that really made me go, okay, we can make our own rules. If we want to come back whenever, we can do that. And if we don't want to come back, so long as we've built a business model that supports that, then that's cool too. So I think it's just kind of like, cool, you get to make your own rules.
I love that. And I think it's, for me, I'm sort of stuck in that mentality of like mat leave. You take 6 months off, you take a year off, and you're there in this like newborn bliss, and it's so beautiful. And don't get me wrong, I want that.
Yeah.
But it's like, how will my business survive? Like I can take a week off. I can take last year I went on my honeymoon and I took 5 weeks off.
Amazing.
Right? It was great. Bliss. Like I did no coaching calls. I had, guest speakers come in and
Beautiful.
I just did some maintenance work, checking in with clients and responding to messages and things like that. And it was so great.
Yeah.
So I've proven that I can take time off my business to go enjoy my life, because I believe that you should be enjoying your life while building your life at the same time.
Yeah.
But then the idea of like having a baby is like, that's complete foreign territory.
Yeah.
Going on a holiday is like, okay, cool. I know I've got 5 weeks. I'm going to come back and I'm going to be back into it.
Yeah.
But then having a baby is like, hey, 18 years of this. And it's like, what do you mean?
What do you mean? I'm looking over to my sister-in-law who's got a 1-year-old, and the thing for me is I'm like, how will I cope without sleep? Like,
right?
That's probably the main thing. It's like,
yes.
Will I be just a terrible human? I don't know. So
because you see, I see so many. So if you're a mum out there that's running a business, hats off.
Oh my goodness.
Like
yes.
hats off. I'm not a mum, but I cannot even imagine. But I see these women and they're like, yeah, cool, slept 4 hours last night, but I'm ready to go. And I'm like, I do really well on low sleep. I get roughly about 6 hours per night.
Right.
For me. And I've been like that my whole entire life. And to get less than that, I think I'd be an absolute zombie, and consistently an absolute zombie. But look, you evolve, you change.
You figure it out.
And you figure it out.
Yeah. And I think the cool thing that I just keep reminding myself, and even when changing, maybe it's not having kids, but it's like, if you want to change your business model, if you want to change your niche, if you want to change your offer, it's going, I actually get to make the rules. Yeah. And we have to take that perk of running a business, because there are so many sacrifices that you make. So it's like, if there's a perk of like freedom, flexibility, making your own rules, doing what you want, and truly doing work that you love, it's like, do that. Don't think that your business is a life sentence and that you're stuck and that you can never change or adapt or change niche or whatever. I think it's like so empowering to go, okay, I can
make the
rules.
decision.
Yeah.
And I think it also comes back to like the decisions you make with your marketing and with your business as well, and any tasks that you have. People will come to me and say, is this right? Should I do it this way? Is this the right way to do it? It's like, you make the rules. If you want to launch on this day, you launch on that day. Yes. If you want to close the doors a week later or 7 days later, like 2 weeks later, you can. I'm going to give you my recommendation. Yeah. But at the end of the day, it's your business. You make the rules.
Yes.
If you want to do a paid masterclass leading into a freebie into this, great. There is definitely a strategy behind it and what I recommend. However, you get to make the rules. You get to break the rules and tweak things based on the knowledge that you've got.
Yes.
And so I think we definitely get stuck in that space of, is this right?
Yeah, it's not a great question. Is this right? Because it's like, well, I think a better question would be, what are you seeing that I don't see? What am I missing here potentially in this launch strategy that I have that could be an opportunity for me?
How can I optimize?
Yeah.
Right?
Is this right? Is like asking for permission. And it's like, I find that a lot of our clients do that too. And I'm like, you do you. Yeah. Here's the vibe of like what we found works. This is what works for our clients. You do you. And maybe you'll learn something, and then maybe we'll all go, hey, we're going to do that too, because that was epic what you did. So it's like, I think that
we get to make the rules.
Yeah.
Give yourself the grace too.
Yeah.
I think we as business owners don't give ourselves enough grace to take action and just make mistakes.
Yes.
And we're so hell-bent on it being perfect, that perfect post, that perfect caption, that perfect masterclass, the perfect launch, the perfect offer, when in actual fact your offer can change and evolve so many times.
Yeah. Yeah.
You can launch this time and then relaunch it again in 3 months' time and have a completely different outcome.
Yes.
So things are always changing and you're just along for the ride. Yeah.
I love it. I want to bring this home because I feel like we could talk for a really long time. But I want to ask you, there were so many questions I wanted to ask you, but I feel like where that conversation went, I'm just so happy. So that's perfect. So I want to know 3 quick things, rapid fire.
Yes.
What is the biggest belief that you have that if someone listening to this could steal one of your beliefs from you and go, cool, Monique believes this, I'm going to believe that too. What is the biggest belief that you think people could steal that's going to help them to succeed?
The biggest belief that I would give you is, how would you show up if you already had the thing that you want?
Yes.
You know, that the 10 course sales that you wanted, to attract the dream client that you want, to create the business that you want. How would you show up right now if you already had that thing?
Oh, I love that.
Show up like that.
Oh, I love that one. What is one thing business owners need to stop doing?
Business owners need to stop looking at content and copying others and comparing themselves to others.
Yeah.
And trying to fit themselves into the mold of what other people are doing, as opposed to finding their own path and creating content and marketing and a business that allows them to showcase who they are and allow them to showcase their brilliance and their magic and their light.
Yes, I love that. And final question for you is, if we look at Socialista a year from now, what will you be doing and what will your business look like?
I love this. So I'm really leaning into the idea of letting things happen and letting things fall where they fall. In a year's time, the Socialista will look like having a really incredible baseline program, a signature program that is going to really transform people's messaging in their business.
Yes.
It's going to be a perfect synergy between business and marketing, where you're able to propel your business forward, but then also your family. I am going to have smaller little offerings and also my agency side, which is creating content and socials for my clients as well, whilst allowing me to sort of step back a little bit from the business, live life a bit more and have a bit more breadth and space. Events are coming to the space. Yes, I love events. I love people. I love connecting. I love connecting people. And I ran a Christmas party at the end of last year, and I brought together a room of like 70 people, and it was just amazing. And I loved it. It filled me with so much joy. And so this year, in a year's time, events, in-person events, it is happening. I have been sort of locked in a box for a long time about events and being told, you know, you can't run events, you lose money, it's all, like you're not going to make anything from it. That's not the point.
It's
Not
totally.
the point.
You'll love it. I find events for me, they fill my cup. They energize me. And I feel like similar to you in that I leave an event and I'm like, woo.
Let's go out.
Yeah, totally. You're going to love doing that.
Yes.
That's going to be magic.
Yes, I'm so excited. That's the next thing on the agenda. So it's the massive program, the signature program first, and really building out this beautiful offer that I know so many people need right now. Then next is the event side, and then going from there. And I'm just so excited to be able to create more connection, more growth, and more scale in not only my business but in the business of my clients too. So I'm super excited.
Oh, Monique, you are amazing. Thank you so much for joining us. Where can people follow you, connect with you online? Because I know so many people listening or watching will be like, where can I get more of Monique's energy?
You can find me on Instagram at the Socialista with an underscore at the end. You will find me there, and on my website, www.thesocialista.com.au.